about a girl. Her name is Candace. She's from California. This is her story of how she helped her friend come to know Christ.
Hi, my name is Candace, okay? And I'm a Days of Our Life-aholic, okay? I love days, okay? And I'm also a cheerleader, okay? Go me, okay? Anywho, the other day I'm standing in my locker doing my thing, you know, and my best friend Steffi comes up, right? And she's all like, hey Candace, after school today, you want to go over to my house and watch Days? And I said okay, and she said okay, and I said okay, and she said okay, and we said okay. So anywho, after cheer practice, we went over to her house, you know, and since Days comes on, we're at school, we have to tape it, so we're like rewinding the tape and everything, you know. And my stomach is like, grr, you know? So we go into the kitchen to try and find something to eat, right? And it's like, oh, Mother Hubbard, the cupboard is bare, you know? And all of a sudden, I look in the cabinets and I find this can of Beanie Weanies, okay? And I'm like, Beanie Weanies? I don't think so, you know? And I'm all like, Steffi? Beanie Weanies? And she's all like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay. We're like, okay, right? So anywho, we take the can of Beanie Weanies and we put them in bowls and we nuke them and whatnot, you know. And then we sit down and we're watching Days and we're eating Beanie Weanies, okay? So a little bit of time goes by, right? And all of a sudden the front door comes swinging open. And it's her little brother, Brad, the brat, okay? And he starts freaking out, right? And he's all like, oh my gosh, you're eating my Beanie Weanies! I start laughing. I shoot a beanie out my nose. I mean, I'm not talking like blur, okay? I'm talking like, you know? I mean, that beanie shot across the room. It was like, sure, you know? That almost poked out Steffi's eye, okay? It was like, sure. She was like, ah, you know? I mean, that beanie was traveling so fast it like embedded itself in the wall. We tried to pry the beanie out with a fork and we couldn't get it. They had to go in and paint over the beanie. You can go to Steffi's house today and there's still a beanie bump on the wall. So I'm sitting there, right? And I got beanie juice running down my face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? So I go into the bathroom, right? And I'm all blowing beanie out my nose. Can I just tell you something? If you think beanie smells bad coming out here, you ought to smell it out here, okay? That's all I'm saying, okay? So I'm in the bathroom and I'm all blowing beanie out my nose, and all of a sudden the doorbell rings, right? And it's her boyfriend, Kirk, the jerk, okay? So he comes in and he's all telling her that she's not this and he's all that and this and that and everything. And meanwhile, I'm stranded in the bathroom, okay? So a little time goes by, you know, I crack the door open and give him the sign. Beanie's gone, you know? They go back outside and I sit down and I'm like, Beanies? I don't think so. A little more time goes by and all of a sudden Steffi comes back in. And she's all crying and whatnot, you know. And I'm all like, hey girl, what's up, you know? And she looks at me, right? And she's like, hey Candace, tell me about Jesus. And I'm like, okay. Wow. He wears these cool Karachi sandals. He's got a nice long white robe, long brown hair, no split ends. When he walks, his upper body doesn't move, you know? Isn't that weird? And then she looks at me and she's like, no, Candace, I'm thorough. Well, this thing right here. Y'all laughing at me? I will take you outside and beat you like a carny. Hey, well, Miss Thing, look at me. You will cry every time you see a Ferris wheel. You hear me? Here's the left, here's the right, you're too wide, okay? Anywho.
I don't get it.
Back to me, Candace, away from rudeness, okay? So, my best friend Stephanie says she's all Surus. And so I tell her everything I know about Jesus, right? And I go home and I pray for her and whatnot. You know, it's all cool and everything, you know? Next day I'm at locker doing my thing. She comes running out. She's all like, hey, Candace, guess what? I'm like, what? She's like, guess what? I'm like, what? She's like, guess what? I'm like, shut up and tell me, okay? She's like, last night in my bedroom, I asked Jesus into my heart. And I was all like, are you Soros? She's all like, thirsty, you know? So that night, I'm all praying and everything, right? And I'm all like, hey, God, if you ever want to use me again, it is totally cool. And God was like, okay. And I was like, okay. And he's like, okay. And I was like, okay. And we're like, okay, right? And I was like, yes, God, next time, can we leave the Beanie Weanies out? Thank you very much.